say, I can't all the time. And she was finally like, okay, I've had enough. And she wrote the word I can't on a piece of paper and had him write I can't like 5 times below it. And they walked outside and they did a little funeral. They dug a little hole in the ground and they put the paper in the ground and they covered it up and they said a little, oh, thank you so much for being in my life for this long, and from here on out, we're not saying I can't anymore. And she uses that all the time to be like, we're gonna have a little funeral for that phrase or like that thing. We're just gonna bury that and just leave that in the past. So that's what we're doing right now. We're all having a little funeral for the fear of role play. So that way moving forward, we can just really, like what Tony said in team meeting, are we on? Okay, like what Tony said in team meeting on Tuesday here was don't practice on your money, practice on your friends. Don't practice in real life, practice here. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Okay, so I just kind of want to set the stage a little bit for what we're doing right now. Obviously, all you guys know what's coming up in a couple weeks. Test week stuff. Yep, on what topics?
Listings.
Yep, listing, agent, value, right? It's a huge initiative of the team to get more listings. It's also, raise your hand if it's a huge initiative for you to get more listings. Literally every single person is like, hell yes, I want that. So this right here is exactly, we've been training on this for months and months and months, and we're just a couple weeks out from this really, like from the pressure test of this stuff, right? So I do want to show you guys, I've added some more resources to TPG Stats. Okay, so where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, woo! I've added some more resources into TPG Stats. Okay, so I think there's a way I can fix my Zoom, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so when you go into TPG Stats, you obviously go under resources. This is my regular spiel. Go into docs, okay, and then right down here in the bottom right-hand side, there's now 4 different resources for test prep, okay? One of the most important things here is these seller archetypes. And then this bottom document right here, this test flow per archetype. Okay, so let me back up a second. We're doing these pressure tests because you've got a lot of opportunity right here in front of you, right? With Zillow leads, with your sphere of influence, right? We want you to go into those appointments with the most amount of confidence and eloquence that you possibly can, right? This is for you. So lean into this stuff, okay? What we do on our end of things, we have a full rubric for grading these essentially, right? Oh, can you not see this? Why can't we see this? Jack? Help! The HDMI? I think I'm on the wrong HDMI. I'm plugged into my computer, but we can't see it. 2? Oh. There we go. Thanks, Em. Uh-oh. Okay, so the 2 important types, docs here is seller archetypes and test flow per archetype. We'll get into them in just a second. But know that, let's see, I kind of lost my train of thought, but we were talking about, on our side of things, we will have a full rubric for these tests essentially, right? There's like 6 or 7 different categories, and they go through things like professionalism and empathy, clarity, differentiation, and value proposition. Who went through test week last year? Right? Couple? 3, 4? Okay, 5? Okay, so super, I'll share the rubric as soon as we have it in there too. We're obviously gonna add in a little bit of property valuation. We wanna make sure that you are able to, we're not presenting a full CMA. To zoom in on this, this is a 20, 25 minute really hyper focused just on objections. And there's like a 4 to 5 minute section in there where you will go through your CMA and your property evaluation. Cool? Okay, but it's real quick. You're not going through the full thing by any means. You're gonna just high level, very concentrated, right? Like, has anybody ever done cold brew? Like, God, if you drank the whole cold brew thing, you would be. So this is like concentrated cold brew, little sessions, okay? The it's been a puzzle and a half to get the right flow down and make it so it's super easy for you guys all to like grab onto this and know exactly what you're doing, right? There's a lot of details in here. How deep do we go into this? What kind of personality are you going to be presenting to? What's their common objections, right? Like in real life scenario on a listing appointment, you know a lot of that stuff ahead of time, right? You kind of know who it is you're dealing with. You know generally like their personality type, and therefore are they, I don't know, are they super analytical, right? So we need to prep you with that exact same thing. So let's go into these seller archetypes real quick. So we've created 5 different seller archetypes, and this will be really fun. So these seller archetypes are going to live forever with TPG. Maybe we'll add some, maybe we'll change them, but it's going to be really cool. Like imagine 6 months from now when you're like, holy shit, I like just dealt with this budget Bob who was such a whatever, like it was such a hard conversation, but this is how I dealt with it. You're going to be dealing with these people in real life all the time, right? Like, oh man, like I just had a conversation with this guy, this like overconfident Oliver type dude or type woman who like thought that this, and this is how I handled it. Right. So I think it'll be really, really cool for these people to live on. In this sheet right here, this goes into everything about their personality, their core motivations, common objections, and conversely, the strategies that we use as an agent to combat that stuff, or not to combat, but to address some of those things, right? Okay, so same thing, same kind of setup for each one. Let me go over to test flow per archetype. Okay, this is probably the most important doc for you guys to really sink your teeth into as we start to prep for these tests, okay? Note also that if you joined the team anywhere February on, we'll send all of this information out. But if you're new to the team February on, this running through this is optional for you. Okay, we want to furnish you with the ability to do it, but it's optional. For everybody else, it's mandatory. Okay, and again, to set the stage for that, what we do on the back end of things, we are setting you up with literally everything we possibly can to make sure you just smash through this. We have that full rubric. If you pass, you're still eligible, you're on Zillow, nothing changes for you. If you don't pass, we will pull you off of Zillow, right? Pull you off of that lead flow until you can come in and pass again. Okay, the retest will either be the following week or the week after. Okay, cool. In this office, we're testing what, 88, 82 people. So that's like 6 or 7 full days of running these for us on the back end of things. So just be patient with us as we go through this stuff. Again, we are here to make sure you pass the first time through this pressure test. Cool? Okay. Again, does that kind of set the stage for why it's important to practice here now? Okay. Yep, love it, love it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do today. This is so rad, I'm so excited. How do I fix my Zoom? I really should do that. I think I go into settings, right? And then screen. Hang on a sec. Okay, so Tony, do you guys all know who Tony is? Scaled. Yep. Okay, so Tony, there we go, that's way better. Okay. Tony in our Utah County office made this right here. I'll share this with you guys, but made these 2 GPTs. Okay, so rad, so rad. Okay, so what we're gonna do right here is we are going to have this GPT. Let's run through this really quick. We're gonna click seller objection, and it will spit out. You guys will have access to this GPT so you can practice on your own. It's actually already sent in Slack, but you'd have to go back and search for it. But so you guys can go in on your own. You get the context. So the context here is you're at a listing appointment in Lehigh. The seller, Karen, is hopefully she's not too much of a Karen, is interviewing multiple agents. She's lived in the home for 15 years. She is emotionally attached to the property, and you have just finished your presentation. And she hits you with this objection. We really like you, but we've got a friend who's an agent, and they said they'd do it for a discounted commission, so we'd rather just help them out. How do you handle it? Hang on. How do you handle it? Let's go with one of our more seasoned agents. What do you say?
Sure. Yeah, I think that there's a couple ways. What I like to do is say, hey, great, I totally understand maximizing the return on your investment and potentially even helping out a friend. Do you happen to know what their experience is in handling situations with homes like yours? Also lean in. Are they a full-time agent? Based in the marketing plan that I put together, I really see you getting the greatest return on your investment if someone were to put full-time into this.
Okay. Okay, so no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so you're going to discovery about the qualifications of this agent, right?
Yes.
Okay. What else? How else? What else comes to mind? Yep. Love that. Love that. Great question. Tell me more, essentially, right? Okay. I want to direct you guys also to, you guys both just hit it really, really, really well. Round of applause for these guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you go into TPG stats under resources, right here under scripts, there is a doc right here called objection handling, okay? And this takes you through a really, really simple 4-step framework for objection handling. The first most important thing is that we agree and acknowledge, right? We're like, that makes so much sense. I totally understand wanting to help a friend out. Then you start to get super curious and you start to either say, ooh, tell me more about what's enticing about that, or tell me more about this agent, right? Like either one is totally fine. This second step right here, get super curious, is the most important step. You need to spend 80+% of your time in objection handling in that curiosity section, right? Asking questions. Ooh, tell me more is probably the easiest question to use, right? When you're in that discovery. Anybody else have any like lead-ins to questions that they love to use? Tell me more being one of them. What's important to you? That's another one. What else? Anything else?
Just go with it well, it seems like the biggest thing that the reason that you're using your family members is kind of great. So I would just affirm on the reason why they're doing it and saying, well, at this moment, did you know that we can really just shoot for ourselves to do a 3% listing and seeing if we can get our buyers ourselves?
Yeah, I'd be really cautious of assuming though. We don't know right now. All we know about this situation, I'd be really cautious about assuming that they're doing it for a discounted commission. They said it right there, but oftentimes with objection handling, as soon as you get a little bit deeper in there may be another objection that is actually more prominent, but they're masking it with something else, right? So as long as we can ask those open-ended, as long as we can ask those really, really, really open-ended questions about, ooh, tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? You're going to be in a really good spot. And let them tell you. Let them tell you. Okay? So our first most important thing is agree and acknowledge. Really simple. Really, really, really simple. Ooh, I know. God, that sounds really enticing for sure. Tell me more about that. Oh, well, it's my friend's son who just got his license, and he's really, really, really hard worker, and I want to be able to help them out, and I think my home's going to sell really quick, right? What's my objection now?
I would maybe just say like,
Yeah, obligation. And what did I say at the end there? Oh, I think my home's going to sell really quick. So now what's my objection to using, right?
it's gonna be
I think it's going to be easy. Overconfident. Boom. Yes. Now I'm not so focused. Maybe in your head you're saying, "Ooh, she's thinking about budget, right? For sure." She also thinks that this is going to be easy and this is probably going to lead me to a value-based objection. Right? Value-based. So when you ask why, it is imperative to ask why. When you ask why, you typically get to what are the two most common sources after why? Two most common objections? Their value-based objections, or what's the other one? Cost, price. Those are the two biggest answers to that question that you're going to get. If you don't ask why, you might solve a value-based objection when their true objection is way over here, right? So it's critical that we ask the why, so that way we can figure out which side of the chart we're on. Yeah? Okay. Let's keep rocking and rolling through this, and then we're going to jump right into it. Okay, so who wants to be brave soul to, I'll be the seller in this. Who wants to be the listing agent? And we'll just pick up where we're at and keep going through it. Thank you, Walker. Okay, so yeah, so we really like you, but I've got a friend who said that they do it for cheaper, and we'd rather help them out.
totally understand one help somebody out, I guess. With what you said to me about how long you lived here and how emotionally passionate you are to the property. In the end, it's more important to help your friend out or to be comfortable in the position you end up in, whether it's price, time, whatever.
Wait, I lost the question in there.
Like, is it more important? Like, do you think it's more important for you to like be able to help your friend out or to get to where you want to be with the sale of your home?
Okay, so back up. I want you to just simplify that. Tell me more. Tell me more about why it's important to you to use your friend. Leave it at that. This is a really good zoom in example of what we're going to do right here. We're going to have a seller. We're going to have two agents. So it'll be like Walker and Alec, right? I'll be the seller, or Randy will be the seller, or Mona will be the seller. Somebody will be the seller. And we're going to have you guys popcorn back and forth between handling this objection, right? It's not like there's two listing agents in the room. There's one agent. You guys, we're just going to literally popcorn back and forth. We're going to say, okay, go Walker. Now go Alec, go Walker, go Alec. And in that moment, right, this exactly what we're doing right now, we're going to pause and we're going to say, ooh, you're rambling on. Tighten up that question. Back up, get right back into it and go. Cool? Okay, so back up, get right back into it.
Tell me a little bit more about why it's
Yeah, my friend's son just got their license, and their family's been going through a little bit of a hard time. And so I think with my home being as nice as it is, you can tell here, I think it's going to be a pretty easy sale. So I'd rather just use him because I know it's going to be fairly easy.
yeah. Stuff about like, hey, that is a tough one. I totally understand wanting to help your friend out. I think it's obviously something that
I think I would lean more into why you think it's going to be an easy sale and trying to figure out your understanding of the process.
100%. Just follow them down the hole. Yep. Okay, so what would you say?
So you think it's going to be an easy sale? Have you sold a home before? What was the process of you purchasing this home? Was it similar condition?
I mean, I bought this home in 2019, right before COVID hit.
Okay.
I've put a lot of money into it, as you can tell. I've got some really nice upgrades in here. Redid the countertops in the bathrooms, countertops in the kitchen and in the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. So,
And how do you think that adds value to your house? Have you thought about upgrades and what that would actually look like on paper when you sell your house?
yeah, I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous in here, isn't it?
It is, it's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I do think there's gonna be a lot of interested buyers, and so I wanna make sure that we put it out to as many people as possible and make sure that the right buyer sees the value in the house. Have,
Wanna jump in? Isaiah, you were gonna jump in?
I was, but he took my route.
Okay, where are you gonna go now?
Were you reading my mind?
My spidey senses.
So the proposition of the home, you feeling like your home, I would basically go to, well, you have put a lot into your home. And I definitely want to make sure, I want to be empathetic towards your friend and you want to help your friend. But also I have a fiduciary to you to get the best and the most out of your home. And so I do want to protect your equity. And so I would then ask, do you feel like
Wait, we're in the role play right now.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So do you feel with your friend's experience that he would be able to protect, the equity in your home, with the experience that he has and the systems that he has?
God, that's a good question. Well, mic drop. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I feel like because it's so beautiful in here, and you know what I mean. Like I've looked at my Zestimate. I feel like it's going to be easy to sell. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I guess I just don't. I don't really see the difference. You know, if he's a brand new agent with an easy sale, there you go, Jackie.
Want me to take that? Maple's like, yes. I would go in with asking, like, the market's ever changing, and a new agent doesn't know how to navigate the ever changing market week by week. And I'll give you an example. In my experience, we thought this house was beautiful, thought it was going to be an easy sell, and it turned out to be not so easy. And someone came in, and the way I got creative with it is it was an assumption, and I got them top dollar in a market that changed like that and turned into a down market. But I got them top dollar because I was able to get creative in the way I was able to sell their house. And that's super important. And not a lot of new agents know how to get creative if the market changes drastically quickly. But also in a market where, there's a lot of offers I think you may get on your home. It's just making sure that how you navigate and talk to other agents is vital as well. And a new agent isn't going to know how to do that in this market. Not to dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we feel like this is where we'd probably, and once we get up here, I'd probably pause and say, okay, back up, do another take that isn't adversarial, right? Even if you don't intend it to be that way, right? This person, this is my best friend's son. You know what I mean? And in my mind, I am not understanding the difference between agents, right? Because I'm so focused on the quality of my home.
well, and I think there's a way of even of going about like what she said in a non-combative way of like stating like, well, my concern would be, and you ask them to alleviate your concern with them. So you ask them to defend them in a way.
100%. Yes. So I think the key here is we want to figure out how to ask them questions in order for them to self-discover that uneasiness, right? We have to figure out a way to back them into, oh God, you're right. A new agent with a high quality home like this, maybe I do have some deep-seated doubts, right? How might that sound if we were trying to back them into, ooh, Alec, then Randy.
I was gonna say, could you say something like, do you feel comfortable having your friend's son represent your house in their first sale? Like their very first transaction, do you feel comfortable with them doing that for their first?
She's already stated that she does that.
Right, but like
I think
as,
so,
if you
but
emphasize
right,
that
okay,
it's their
so
first
let's get into the role
transaction.
play. Okay, so
Yeah.
I mean, I think so, you know.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, look, as their first sale, it might be a little bumpy. Not that, any sale isn't bumpy, but do you feel that they are like sufficiently backed up to handle the bumps that come along?
I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, you could look into their team. One thing that's nice is like with my team, I have a lot of people behind me who are able to work through those bumps.
Love that. Okay, so you just pivot. Then you start to pivot away from we're not dogging on them. We're saying, okay, now that you've answered, ooh, I don't know, then you can just go to what you do know for sure, right? They don't know, right? And so they're having you've established some uncertainty about this other person. And now you want to establish in their brain certainty about you, rather than continuing down that, you just pivot over here and say, "Ooh, I've established uncertainty. Here's where I can establish certainty."
Have we tackled the issue of them? It's or we're still trying. I don't feel like
Yeah, well, okay, so
because they felt obligated to go with their friend's whatever.
Yep.
But then they said, yeah, like I saw what my Zillow price is. I found the issue.
Yeah.
It's like now we've
yeah, so now then you would circle back to that, right? And you would talk about how you can make it an easy sale, right? And you would continue to like really does anybody have any other thoughts on that? Like I think me personally, I would be like, okay, we're a little bit uncertain here. I'm going to talk about all the certainty over here, and I'm going to talk about all the ways that I can make this an easy sale for you, while maybe dropping little hints here about how unique it is that I have this option for marketing. I have this network that nobody else has. You know what I mean? And like start to drop those seeds without it seeming like I'm dogging on somebody, just stating the facts, right?
I wouldn't like disagree that it's like because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like with objection handling, it ends up becoming arguing with the seller, and like you don't argue,
Don't argue.
because then it seems like a fight, and then it's like, well, if I hire this agent, then they're right, and it becomes like an ego thing. So like, don't disagree. Like, I agree. I think this would be an easy sell with the right marketing and with
Yeah.
the right, and not even saying like with the right agent, like just saying like with the right X, Y, and Z,
Resources,
like that you provide.
Totally.
Because then like you're not dogging on the other agent, and then you're also not dogging on the fact that it won't be an easy sale,
Right.
and you're agreeing with them.
Totally. And yeah, Mayor. Hang on, take this.
And adding on to what Mona's saying, make the implicit explicit. Like, hey, let's be real. Your house is a beautiful house. It's gonna sell easy, but there's just you have a high level agent and you have a beginning agent. So it's like, which one do you want? You know, with this agent, you can still work with them. You know, the house will still sell because it's an incredible house, but essentially you're giving that high level experience that you could be getting with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would start to probably pivot to net or sale price or tangible data things and start to get into that pretty quickly here, right? Where you're like, sure, this is going to be an easy sale. Let's talk about what is important to you. Why are you selling? Why are you selling this home? What do you want out of this home? What's the purchase price that you're aiming for? Oh, well, my neighbor just sold their home for $925. So like I definitely want $925. Right? You say, "Oh, well, here, let's back up a second. Let's get to the net. What are you comfortable walking away with in your pocket?" You start to talk about those things. Then when inevitably when they talk about the top line of like purchase price or sale price or whatever, if we can always reframe it to net, then we're having an easier discussion. We're backing our way into having an easier discussion about commissions and things that draw from the purchase price. If yeah, totally. Totally. If they, well, and if they say something like they want a net that is completely unrealistic, right? I'd rather know that ahead of time than and like kind of back into it than and be able to say, maybe worst case scenario, be able to say your net or your purchase price is a little bit unrealistic. I'd rather tell you up front that I can't get you that than overpromise and underdeliver, kind of a thing.
Monday that is just like the scenario, but it's with like a very true SOI, like one of my best friends, and they're interviewing me and another agent. And this is this is my first time having an SOI interview with somebody else as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I know like I'm going like way off, but I did start the listing appointment facing the obvious of like what's going on. So they're interviewing me, so like it's a husband and wife. I'm the wife's like best friend. And then the husband has a good friend that sells real estate as well. And I know like I looked him up. This is not a dog on anybody who's only done 4 sales, but he's only done 4 sales in
Yeah.
the past 12 months. I've done double that just this
Yes.
year. And
Just this year, yeah.
And I looked him up on Facebook. This isn't his only job, like he works somewhere else. So, and I just kind of explained that to them too. I was like, hey, like, let's face the obvious. You guys are interviewing 2 different agents, like, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to interview me as well. What I want you guys to do though is to take the emotional decision part out of it. Like, and I said this verbatim, I was like, fuck my feelings. Fuck Lane's feelings. Like, who cares? Like, if you guys don't pick me, it's okay. Like don't make your decision based on, oh, but how are they gonna feel?
Mhm.
Do what's best for you. And it's that.
Yay!
That
Did you
is-
get it?
But truly, my fear is that they are gonna go with this age. They're interviewing him today. Because I guess when they, I'm so sorry, this is like, okay. But when they first talked to him about selling their home, he didn't even go for a listing appointment. He just like assumed that they were gonna use him. But and then the wife called me and was like, hey, how much would it be to sell our house? I'm like, well, there's a lot more that goes into it. Like, let's
Right.
sit down and talk about that.
Yeah.
And
now they're following your lead
every-
and
yeah.
trying to set an appointment with
and
him.
so now they're setting an appointment with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I know you're gonna say something, but I really want to get into the role play, right? Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just curious because I know, like the whole scenario is at the end of your presentation, right? So when it comes to like knowing like their net, like everything, their goals essentially, shouldn't you already know that at this point? So how do you reiterate that you're gonna achieve their goals without seeming like you're just talking in circles and going into your presentation all over again?
I mean, in this scenario, I can say, like, I think that for the sake of the role play, we can assume that we don't know what their net is, and that's what we're, like this is I just got a call from my friend, or I just talked to this person at whatever, and they said this. How am I gonna handle it to set an? I should say, the goal of going through these role plays isn't to like sign an ERS, or it's not to set the listing appointment or something like that. The goal, we're really just zooming in and handling these objections. Whatever comes up in order for you to handle those objections is totally fine, right? It's totally fine.
I'll just say like in a while, like I'll do a pre-listing appointment. So I'll ask like, hey, I've never seen your home, can't run numbers on a home I've never seen. So I'll go and do like a 10-minute preview, like just take a look at his house. While I'm there too, I just ask, so what are you guys hoping to make out of this? So that when I'm preparing for the listing appointment, I know like that's where either I need to be or I need to prepare them, but that's not where they're
Sure. Okay, so this pre-listing appointment or whatever it is. Okay, so another one, DJ Khaled. Okay. Ooh, difficulty level. Only a 5 out of 10. Okay, who's my brave volunteers? I need 2 people to come up here, so you're not alone. Okay, and agents. 2 agents. I will be the seller on this one. Okay, Mona, come take a seat right here. Round of applause for Mona. Brave soul. Brave soul. Okay, somebody else. One other person. Yay! Thanks, Isaiah. Woo! Round of applause. Huge. Okay. Do you? I haven't even read it. I have not even read it yet.
I need practice, so I'm just throwing myself.
Hi, I don't think we've met. Isaiah, Mona.
Okay, so what's my objection? Can somebody read that?
Well, wait till the spring. The spring.
Okay, so let's say, well, I want to wait till summer because it's spring right now.
Yeah.
Let's do a
You wanna wait?
realistic.
No, let's
Okay,
tomorrow.
so you also don't need to call me Mark. I can be Maggie. Okay, so I initially seemed motivated to list quickly. You've sent over comps, and I know the market is cooling a little bit in this scenario. On your follow-up call, he drops this. We want to wait until spring when the market picks back up. We don't want to leave money on the table by listing now.
So I already followed up and then to see where they want, and then he said
Yep.
this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're like, oh, maybe we're on the phone, we're in person. Yeah, so look, I just don't want, I want to wait. I don't want to list now because I'm scared I'm going to leave money on the table. I think I just want to wait until spring.
Yeah. So tell me again, where are you guys going after you guys sell?
We are, oh God, let's see. We're in Saratoga Springs. We want to go up to Sandy area, a little bit closer to some better school districts.
Okay, definitely. So tell me this, if your listing, you get more on the sale of your home, what is that gonna look like in Sandy? When you guys buy in the summertime?
Like, is it going to set me up better if I get more?
Well, what is buying going to look like for you? If your home is going to increase in price,
Yeah.
do you think that's gonna happen in Sandy too?
I'm confused about what your question
So
is.
I'm trying to get him to see, or you to see that like the market that you sell in is the market that you buy in, so it's going to be a trade-off. So yeah, for sure. Like
I see.
We can.
Okay,
sell
so
for
back
more.
up
Yes.
and make that really, really clear. That question.
I just did. Okay, so okay, yeah. So waiting to summer. I totally get that. I mean, I want to net you the most as well too, and if that means waiting a few months, let's do it. But I know you guys want to move to Sandy, so tell me when you're buying. If we're gonna sell in the summer and you guys are gonna buy in the summer, tell me what that looks like in Sandy. If your home price is going to increase, do you feel like your sale price, your purchase is going to increase as well?
Yeah, probably. I didn't really think about that. Huh.
So the decision's completely up to you. You know, we can wait until the summertime. I'm totally on board with that. I'm here for the long haul, but I just want you to prepare. That's also what the buy side's gonna look like too.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Well, I mean, isn't that why this is coming to you? Isn't that why hiring an agent though is worth it? Is that, we can get the most on the list price and you can help me negotiate on the sale price of things, right? Isn't that what the purpose is?
Yeah, that's a big part of my job is helping to get the most out of your home in the market. So I do want to make sure that I'm able to get you the best and the most out of the market that this market has to offer at the time. So let me ask you, what is it that you feel you're seeing now that makes you want to wait until the summer?
I mean, I looked at my neighbor's house who right around the corner. I feel like they're struggling to sell right now. It's just going a little bit slower than I know we're friends. I know they would have liked. So, obviously when kids are out of kind of more near out of school time, people like, I know we don't really want to move also until our kids are out of school too, or nearing out of school as well. So it's a little bit of that. And also again, like my neighbor's house is sitting and not moving. So hopefully that brings some more buyers to the market or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna?
I think one, like in real life, like I would have already.
No. We're in it.
Oh shit.
We're still in the role play.
Okay. So I'm very familiar with that listing. I've looked at it. It's one of, I also pull, when I'm pulling comps, I look at what's active as well. In my opinion, I think they overpriced that.
Oh, really?
And that's where we don't want to be. Whether you're in the summertime, the springtime, fall time, winter time, if you overprice, it can end up hurting you in the long run. That's why I said, that we should list at
Okay. What price? Put a number on this.
at 800, and they're at 850, so they're $50,000 above market price, so or above market value. So that's where I think we need to be at 800, so we avoid sitting on the market because.
Okay, wait, pause. Stop at 800. That's why I think we need to sit at 800. We need to list at 800.
Yeah.
Period. Like that, a lot of the times when in these kind of role play scenarios, and again, our Utah County office is doing these all the time, and it's really interesting to watch when we try to over index something.
Yeah.
Just say your point and let it sit, or say your point and better yet, ask a question right at the end of it. Typically speaking, with objection handling and these kinds of things, like say your point, and if you can always ask a very specific question right at the end, if you can take on that challenge, you're going to lead the conversation where you want it to go. You take control of that conversation. Okay, so back up. So that you think that the listing is overpriced, we'll start there.
Yeah, and I think that they should be at 800.
Huh, interesting. I mean, I would really like to get 850 for my home. Like that's the price that, you know, I'm looking at my Zestimate, my Zillow estimate, and that's where it says it's at, is at 850. So I mean, if I wait a couple months, do we think 850 is realistic?
I was like, no.
No, bitch.
Do you think the market's going to increase 50,000 in just a couple months? Like,
Okay, but that's what I want. I want a sale price of 850.
how do you feel like we'll get 850?
Wasn't that why I'm hiring?
If market is showing us 800, how do you feel like we would get 800?
I mean, isn't that why I'm hiring an agent?
You know, it is. Agents is, again, as I mentioned before, our job is to get you the best that this market has to offer. But there is one thing I do want you to know, Maggie, is that I don't determine the price of the home. Sellers oftentimes think they determine the price of a home as well, but what really determines the price is the market. And so, in order for us to get the most out of your home, and to get you as close as we can to that 850 mark, what we would need to do is price your home correctly the first time. So one, we're not avoiding those long days on market that you're seeing your neighbor is having. And two, we can put you in a position to where you can have a multiple offer situation where you can get the most out of it. So with that being said, would you want to list your home at 850, and are you okay with it sitting for a while if it doesn't sell? Or not if it doesn't sell, but if we price it at 850? Or do you want to take the route of pricing it right the first time and creating a multiple offer?
I mean, yeah, I multiple offer situation sounds ideal for sure. Do you think that's possible?
It's very possible. Yeah, if
Cool.
we are, as long as we price your home correctly out of the gate, we can definitely create situations where we can get you into multiple offers.
Good job, you guys. Really good. Really, really, really good. Okay. Go ahead. You guys can go. Okay. Thoughts, feedback.
That was good. That was great.
What part?
I like where Mona took them to like market changes on both. It doesn't just change.
Love.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't just change when you sell. It also changes when you buy. So the homes that you see on the market now are not staying at that price.
Oh, thanks. That is a hard, like, if they're not, I mean, majority of the time they are buying as well.
Yeah.
But it is like if they're moving out of state,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
tough.
kind of like a hard, like, that objection,
Totally.
since you don't know.
Totally so. Yeah, in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Joey, then welcome.
It's Isaiah, right?
Yep.
So the part where you were like, well, that's why I'm hiring an agent so I can get these, you know, obviously we all know it's like out of the water price, not realistic. I liked how he said basically like, yeah, that is the point of having an agent, but an agent isn't a superhero that's gonna magically get your household for whatever number you put. But an agent is somebody that you hire that has all of the resources and power to analyze the market in the most perfect way possible in order to get the highest price for your home. So
Yeah.
it's like being able, like, you're hiring an agent, somebody that specializes in selling your home, like, and backing it up with analytics and data.
For sure.
So-
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tough. I love when you said it's not the listing agent that decides, it's not the seller that decides, it's the market that ultimately decides, right? This is where we get into the idea that the list price is not the same thing as the sale price, oftentimes, right? And I think that's where you were going, right? That would be a great piece of feedback is is saying exactly that. The list price is not the same thing as the sale price. And we're seeing that at your neighbor's spot right now, where they listed at 850. Where do you think it's probably going to sell based on how long it's been on the market? We hope it's going to sell at 850, but where do you actually think it's going to sell, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? And then they say, oh, well, you know, their house, then you start to get it, oh, well, their house is nowhere near as good as mine. So it's probably going to sell at 825. You say, oh, how do you think that's going to affect your sale when your sale comes up? So now we're talking about something different. But I think that one line, the list price is oftentimes different than the sale price. That's where we come in as an agent to try to make those things either as close as possible or inverted. You know what I mean? But then you're again talking about how we as an agent do it. I would maybe avoid saying something like your agents we're not superheroes, because we kind of want to be a superhero, right? I think this is where we get into the showcase complexity, but deliver simplicity. Showcase how much it's going to take to get that price, and then say, this is why I'm here. This is how I would strategically price your home or intro it to the market, yada, yada, yada. Yes, Jackie.
The neighbor's house for X amount more, would you dive more into the comp and like show them the differences between their house and their house? If they're more of that analytical type, like what would you recommend doing that, or go into more of like question?
I mean, I think I would start probably with question stuff, but your analytical, this is where we can get into, I'll show you guys these seller archetypes here. With analytical, we want to use data, right? It's not that they're emotionally tied to a certain sale price. They just don't understand why it would be that sale price or that net or whatever. So if you can use data to help them understand and educate them, typically with somebody who's super analytical, you're going to be better off. Super different strategy. Well, maybe not super different, but different strategy than somebody like a skeptical Sally who's super distrustful, right? Where instead of leading with data, you're leading with transparency and testimonial social proof. Also different than budget, somebody who's like really, really, really tight and they know exactly what amount they want, right? We're talking about the return on their investment. We're talking about investment, less data, but more about what we're actually going to do on the back end. So, yeah, with analytical, data. Position yourself as the expert. Know your shit, for sure. Okay, let's do another one.
Can I chime in real quick?
Yes, of course.
I think like the biggest thing is like, if you're trying to win the listing, I think it's just showing the data, right? And just saying, look, with all the comparables, you want 150,000. What do you feel like your home is different than in this comparable that makes your home 150?
Yeah.
And because this is what I'm gonna market your home is based on the actual benefits of your actual. I think if I actually put that on paper, then I can go sell that differently than what's on paper. And if they don't have an answer, then at that moment I say, well, I can list your home for 850,000, but when would you actually, let's just say the home doesn't get an offer within 30 days. Because any agent can list the home for 850,000, right? I'm willing to do that for you. But when do you feel like we can lower the price?
Yeah.
If it doesn't sell for you?
Totally. I think a tight way to say that is, we can get your home to sell for 850,000. These are the things that we're going to have to do to your home to get it to be an $850,000 home. Let's walk through. Now we're talking about paint, declutter, staging, those kinds of things. We have the ability to bring those resources to you. Are you willing to? Let's have that discussion now.
Even in the current market. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could point out, maybe the market has slowed down a little bit, but you could point to statistics of how many homes sold this last month. There's still buyers out there.
Totally.
If we market it properly, if we make the right kind of upgrades, you're still going to be able to sell your home now versus later.
Yes. Love it. Okay. Randy, do you want to be a seller? Okay. Who wants to be agents?
I'm down.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on up. Come on up. No, you're going to be an agent. So you sit over here. Randy, sit over there. Okay, I need one more person. Come on. Come on, Jackie. Woo! Okay, give these guys a round of applause. Huge. Okay, everybody, this is Manny. Manny hasn't onboarded yet. He's onboarding today to the team. So huge round of applause to Manny. Okay. Yes. All right. You ready? I'll give you your another one. Not a new agent. Nope. Experienced agent. Okay. So this is a difficulty level 8 out of 10. You're at a second appointment with Tina and James in Draper, or Randy. Okay. You're at your second appointment with Randy and Draper. Randy met with you and another top agent last week. Their home is gorgeous, but it's slightly overpriced for current comps. They're clearly interviewing you both. So the chat is kind of messing this up a little bit. Their home is gorgeous, but let's say they want to overprice it just slightly, right? They're anticipating a price that is a little bit higher. They're clearly interviewing you and this other top agent to decide who gets the listing. After some small talk, Randy says, the other agent said they could get us $50,000 more than what you're suggesting. Why would we list with someone who's already pricing us lower?
Say that again, right at the end.
The other agent
So
said
the
they
house is already overpriced, okay?
they
Well,
want. It's not on the market yet.
So you guys are telling me you can sell it for $1 million. Maggie told me she can sell it for $1 million.
No, hang on. So who wants to go first? Because we're gonna go right into the role play. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. So Jackie, you first. Right into the role play. So Randy says the other agent said they could get us $50,000 more than what you're suggesting. So why would we list with somebody who's already pricing us lower?
How are they going to make?
Yeah, I mean, based in the comps that they pulled in their marketing piece, they're confident that they can push the market just a little bit. So based in their stats, they're about 0.5%, which would be that 50K or $1 million price point.
Manny, jump in.
Okay, well, it seems like to me the most important thing for you is gonna be that net value. And it seems like that's when you're actually choosing the other agent. I want you to make the best decision that's for you, but I'd like for you to see something different. That home doesn't sell for 6 months, you're stuck.
Wait, pause. Go back to the net value and just end there.
Okay.
Say it again.
So the most important thing for you is the net value, and it seems like that's the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Net is the most important, which is why when someone tells me net more at the end of the day, that's more appealing for the conversation.
Okay. So my following question would be, with your permission, if the home doesn't sell in 6 months, what's more important for you at that moment, the net or the actual time?
Yeah, I mean, currently we have the home paid off, so I mean, if we have the ability to purchase elsewhere, so I mean, the net is important, but in terms of it being like an impending financial burden, it's not really where we're at. We're not in a rush to sell, just like to get more out of it.
So it seems like to you, we can actually spend more time on your listing and find the right buyer. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
I suppose so. Yeah, we're not in a rush. I imagine $1 million property flying off the shelf.
Well, if that's the case, why don't we list it $15,000 more? So the other agent's doing 50,000. Let's put a 1-year contract and see if we can find the right buyer and give $15,000.
So you're saying overall you want to net me 65 more, or list it 65 more? So 15 more than where they're at?
That's correct.
Well, wait. But I feel like we've missed the whole proof part, right? Because right now what I feel like has happened is you've heard that another agent will list it $50,000 more, and then you're coming in and you're saying, well, I'll list it for 15 more than that agent. But okay, so that's where you're going, is you're okay with having more time on the market,
Yeah.
and that's the strategy you're choosing to advise?
Yeah, because over time, our whole point is that interest rates will drop. If they do, we'll have more buyers at the actual table. That's a possibility that we will buy. All we have to do is wait and give it.
Jackie, jump in.
Can I take it
Yes. Okay, so back up to the net part, right? Yep.
Which I understand that net's the most important to you. Let me ask you this. That agent says that they're gonna get $50,000 more. You can list it whatever you want. It's not at the end of the day. But as an agent who's, been in the market a long time, my advice would be you wanna sit on market for 6+ months, or you wanna list at a high price and not get a offer to sit. What's kind of your importance? Is it getting top dollar and listing as high as you can, but it's sitting for months and months? Or is it selling, getting some swappers and buyers through and getting so much?
Okay, wait.
I'm-
Okay,
I'm-
wait. Back.
I'm
Yeah.
nervous. I'm nervous.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm
Back up.
nervous.
You're doing great. I think we all understand what your question is, but does your seller understand what your question is? So, yep. Tighten it up.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I understand that more is more huge amount of money that you don't want. My question to you is, if you want the market plus months,
Do we think that 0.5% is really going to like impact the traffic? My thought is that, if we list and we're pushing the market, there'll still be a number of interested buyers, and if we're close, they're willing to open the conversation.
yeah, totally understand why that's the reasonable thought to have that way. Unfortunately, like data says that if a home is overpriced by 1 to 3%, you won't get the traffic. Even through open houses, showings, like data shows that anywhere from overpriced 1 to 3%, showings traffic is significantly decreased.
You want me to continue?
I love the data. I love the data point. Do you have a question at the end there?
So my
Talking
question
about
to
maybe
you
traffic.
would
Mhm.
be, want to get $50,000 more and get lower traffic and more buyers through your house, or list at $1 million and get as much traffic, as much buyers as you possibly can, to hopefully drive up the price because you're getting the buyers.
Yeah, so the other agent showed that, you're pretty much the only house in the neighborhood. So I think pushing the market is reasonable. Is there something that kind of, that like can't push the market? I'm just trying to figure out, like, they're confident that they can get the 50,000 more, but you guys are confident that 50,000 less is the best track record.
That's a great question. Yeah, and like looking at the data here and looking at the market as a whole, like you want to understand kind of about what's going on, because that is your. So looking at the market as a whole, you do have some active comp area. If your neighbor, just looking at your neighborhood, there isn't. Most buyers, let's put yourself in the buyer's shoes. If you're a buyer, you're looking in the price, would you just look in the neighborhood of Draper, or would you look throughout?
Maybe,
Yeah, I'm legitimately a street buyer
Street?
right now, but no, I see your point. Yeah, I definitely think, but within a mile, there's still only like 3 homes. Like it's pretty limited. Like,
Okay, so I think we're getting into like data and comps and those kinds of things. What do we know really truly deep down why the $50,000 is more
Yes.
attractive to him?
Yeah.
Well, did you ask him?
Yeah, his house is paid off. Doesn't have a time frame. So he's saying, look, listen, because I don't have a time frame, I'm willing to wait. I don't have to. And that's the most.
But what's the $50,000? Maybe that's the next question though, is like, bingo. Yes. Exactly.
$50,000 is going to make or break. Like, why are you selling?
Why are you selling right now? Right? Why wouldn't you just wait? Like what I'm pulling right here is the comps are at $1 million. Now, we can make any home sell for, in theory, on paper, any price, right? We have the strategies, the tools, the staging, the presentation of the property, the network, all of those things. Now you're talking about what you bring to the table. The network, I'm on the #1 team, those kinds of things, right? You bring that to the front and you say, we can sell it for $1,050,000, but why are we having this conversation right now? if in your mind, time is not an issue and waiting is an option, why are we having this conversation now? What's your answer?
No, I think for us, you know, we just love to be able to take this and build it into something else, whether that's investments, whether it's investment properties, but we don't have a set time on that. I think, you know, seeing the market trending upwards, which is why, you know, when the application says $1.05 million is kind of where they see things going, we believe that that's a reasonable option because things appear to be trending upward, at least what I.
Go for it.
So it sounds like you want to take advantage instead of wait.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, right? Like I'm just going based on what the other agent told me, you know, and if they're telling me to give me the 50K more, they seem confident in what they're presenting, and I mean, it seems reasonable. I mean, it's just a matter of things are trending up. I don't want to miss the upward.
Cool. Okay, the last line I would say there is if I told you it was possible that by listing with me and utilizing all of these resources that I've just told you about, that we may be able to get your property to sell for $1.05 million or more, is that a conversation you'd be willing to have? Great. Boom. Okay, great job.
So you still list
Oh.
Wait, can you
No,
say
no,
that?
no.
What did you just say? Can you repeat that?
What I would do is I would really hone in on, I would get away from the $50,000. I would totally get away from that and just say, here's what, okay, when you want $1.05 million, the thing that goes off in my head is how am I going to get it to sell at $1.05 million? Not trying to combat them and tell them why they're wrong. Is just say, what can I do to get it to sell at $1.05 million? So if I can showcase all of those reasons why or how or what our track record is, like for example, the Perry Group sells homes for anywhere from 99% of the list price or more on average, right? I'm throwing on all those stats, I'm throwing in all of our resources and things like that. Then at the end of explaining all of those things and saying, so with everything I just showed you, if I feel confident, right, that I might be able to get your property to sell for $1.05 million or maybe even more, is that a conversation you'd be willing to have? Right? What I'm going to say also is I am not going to tell you that your home is or is not going to sell at $1.05 million. What did Isaiah say in the last round? Yeah.
I think you can also lean into the fact that you're up against competition and there's such a thing as called buying listings. My data and my team backs the fact that I can sell your home at $1 million. I can almost guarantee that. What repercussions does the other agent have if they take your listing at $1.05 million and then you sit on the market after the price reduction? How are you holding them accountable with them not delivering them?
Love that. Oh yeah.
Like, well, the agent's telling me I can sell it for $1.05 million. So would it be appropriate to ask, like, okay, well, what did you see or what did the agent show you where you feel so confident that it will sell for $1.05 million?
100%. So what do they show you? Right? It's like proof over promise.
Yeah. So, and then from there, it's like, okay, if you showed you, okay, well, then it's no longer about the $1.05 million. It's about value that I can bring to sell it for $1.05 million.
Right. Right. Edry? And then Chance?
What's it called? Aspirational, thank you. Aspirational pricing, our like what market is telling us, and then obviously our event pricing. If we start at event pricing, it's gonna drive it up closer to that aspirational pricing that you're wanting.
Totally. So you get into the actual strategies and things like that. Again, away from the dollar amount and into like strategies, what you bring to the table, right? Say, noted. That's amazing. Let's talk about how we can make that possible, or conversely, how we maybe can't make that possible, and educate them on why we can't.
Right.
Right? Yep. Educate them. Yeah.
I think one in the case studies too, like your house you just had, for example, would be an awesome
Totally.
pull up like, hey, we escalated this up to, what was it, 45,000 more
Yeah.
from that, I think.
Yeah.
But just reiterating, like, hey, if we have the demand and the scarceability of the neighborhood, like, we can probably drive it up even more than 50,000.
Totally. Yes. So case studies, data, pricing strategies. Yes.
I was actually just kind of going off that. I was just like more of a question. Would it be smart to say, we're like entering into, we're seeing a lot more statistics of being in a multiple offer market. Would you rather, price your home low because homes, your prime time is the first 2 weeks that you list? Would you rather list for those 2 weeks and then have the price drop, or within those 2 weeks be within a reasonable price and then have those multiple offers
Sure.
drive up the price?
Yep. Stories, strategies, all of that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And asking them the questions at the end of the day. Okay, we're over time, but we can, I'm happy to stick around if you guys want to give yourself an opportunity to take a shot too. Anybody want to do another one? If you need to go ahead. Ooh, everybody's sticking around. Everybody's like, I want to see more. I love that. I love that. Okay, I need 2 brave souls. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Do it. Come on. You'll be great.
Okay.
Love it. Okay, I'll be the seller. How about that?
Okay, cool.
Another one.
Watch this one be an insane. It's like a 10 out of 10. 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay, so you're meeting with Maggie, Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
You're meeting with Maggie, a seller in South Jordan. She's an analytical type who owns a rental property. And she's not in a rush, but she's tired of being a landlord. You've walked through the property and you're discussing the timeline and next steps. That's when she hits you with this. I'm not sure it's worth paying an agent. I could just list it myself and save the commission. Potential. Yeah. Okay. These ones are fun. Okay, so again, there's one of you, right? You're bouncing off of each other. We're having one conversation. So we'll just ping pong back and forth whenever you guys want to jump in, or I'll just direct you.
Want to start?
Yeah, I can start.
You want to start? Great. Okay, so I'm not sure it's worth paying an agent. I probably could just list it for myself and save on the commission.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I think like saving money is always good, right? So definitely. But what does your marketing strategy look like?
I mean, listed on Zillow. Zillow is
Listed on
huge.
Zillow. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Zillow is huge. Do you have a plan for like how you're going to market outside of Zillow? Like, do you know what your bandwidth looks like as far as like open houses, other types of marketing, social media?
Okay, wait, back up. Give me one question at a time.
Okay. Do you know what your marketing strategy looks like for getting more people in the door besides Zillow?
I mean, I could host an open house myself, on
Yeah.
Saturday. I feel like, we're in South Jordan in like daybreak. There's lots and lots of people walking around.
Okay.
So I could stick a couple signs in the yard and get people through.
Totally, yeah. Do you feel like you have the time to put forward the people that come through?
I mean, I'll just talk to them when they're there.
Okay, yeah, and
Right.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you can definitely. It's always good to have a conversation with the people that are coming through an open house. But do you feel like you can follow up? Because you said that you're busy being a landlord, you kind of want to like leave that behind. So
Yeah.
it sounds like your schedule's kind of busy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have like enough time in your belt to be able to put towards like following up with potential seller or potential buyers who may want to purchase your property?
I mean, it only takes one buyer, right? So
Totally,
like
yeah.
I could just host a couple open houses, a couple weekends in a row, and somebody will come.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't.
Definitely people will come
It's
through.
not that. Yeah, totally. People
Yeah.
will come through. I just don't think hosting an open house is that hard.
Totally, yeah, it's definitely not hard to host an open house. The open house is not the difficult part. I would say, like, just coming from my point of view, it's difficult to get people back, right? So they'll come through the open house, but a lot of people are just sort of like snoopy, like they just want to see what's on the market, kind of get a vibe for like what's out there. But a lot of people don't necessarily want to follow up on that purchase. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Jump in.
Okay. I first off, I love your enthusiasm. I love how you're wanting to do this for yourself. I do just want to point out that you hiring us means that your equity becomes our equity to protect. We have the greatest. We have your greatest. What is the word I'm looking for? Interest.
Yeah.
Best. Thank you.
Best interest.
We have your best interest, which means, or me
Yeah.
and how many agents do we have on the team?
170.
Okay, back up, start from the top.
Okay.
You're on the right track, keep going. Just cleaned it up.
Okay. What should I start with?
Try to make it a question. I feel like that's.
I know.
I just, yeah, I mean, again, I just don't, like, I could host a couple open houses, and I really feel like my property's gonna sell, and I'll be able to save commission. You know, like, if I can just do it myself, like, I can just look things up on ChatGPT and fill out the contract and get it done, and not pay anything.
Yeah, I love that. Again, I love your enthusiasm. Again, what am I trying to say? I know how, like, I want to say, hold on, let me think. Because we have your best interests, we not only value your equity, but we value your time. And we're going to make sure that you don't have to have the stress of selling your own home. For sale by owners, statistically tend to sit on the market for longer, not because they don't want their home to be sold, but because selling a home is so taxing, because of the open houses, because of the market research, because you have to have some skin in the game in terms of understanding the market, and we just want to be able to handle that stress for you.
I mean, again, ChatGPT is a really cool thing. Like, I could look up how to fill out a contract and fill it out myself. Again, I live in a super popular area in South Jordan. There's people walking around all the time. My open houses, I feel like, like, we do block parties all the time in this neighborhood. I know people are going to come through. So I just am not seeing the value of having an agent for 3% or 6%.
I think it's difficult to see the value of an agent up front. Like, when you're looking, yeah, I can sell my house. It's easy to sort of just list something and step back. But what you miss when you don't hire an agent is really the marketing that comes from not only the agent, but their team. So, like, for instance, with my team, we don't just spend time on Zillow, we spend time on every platform. So obviously, Zillow does tie with the MLS, which is our system that we look at, all the listings in the area. But what you can also count on with me is that I will be marketing with my team. I have other agents who are happy to post on Instagram. We have a network of over, I'm sure, 250,000 followers with my entire team. And if we get agents, not only myself, but other agents on my team to post your listing, you can look at, not maybe just one person walking through who wants to buy, but multiple. So you can see, like, you will have not just one offer to choose from, but many offers. So yeah, you can definitely, ask ChatGPT how to fill out a contract, all of that. But ChatGPT cannot post and market your listing like me and my team can.
Okay, so you're saying that there's more potential for buyers by using an agent. Tell me more about why that's worth. I hear you talking about social media.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about why that's worth 3% for, I imagine it's 3% to use a listing agent, right?
Yeah, 3% is typically what we're looking at. I mean, the way it's worth it is because you can get into multiple offers, right? So the 3% when you list comes out of, your base list price. If you get multiple offers, that can pay for my commission in and of itself. So if you get to the point where you have multiple offers above the list price, all of a sudden my commission is paid for that way, and you still net the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You have a question?
No, I'm just.
Okay, so I think we're getting into the realm of talking about how your commission and your services are an investment, right? This is, again, bringing this line back to the top. Show the complexity of your job, bring the simplicity in your services, right? Like, we have to be able to eloquently talk about the Rolodex of services that we offer, right? And how that's an investment, and here are the results. So in order to kind of back yourself into this,
Right.
talk about the results. Talk about what's important to you. Tell me more about like, okay, so here's a great line.
Okay.
First and foremost, we got to figure out what we want to net.
Right. I was gonna
Right.
say, what do you want to net? Like, I guess if you're looking at listing yourself, how much are you wanting to take out of the listing? Like, what are you wanting to net at the end of this?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about listing for 500,000.
Okay, listing for 500,000, and you don't obviously want to have to pay commission out of what you net, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look.
Well, I mean, I mean,
Sure.
I want to sell my home for 500,000. Yep.
Do you currently know what's going on in the market?
What do you mean?
Do you know if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market? Have you studied the market at all to know what's going on?
I mean, no, not really. I know that, I've seen the news that rates are dropping and,
Yeah. So rates are definitely like a baseline of understanding the market. We are starting to see the market get into multiple offer situations, which means that as a seller, you could definitely take advantage of pricing your home more strategically. Having an agent, you automatically get access to all of the data and analytics to price your home at the best price in order to take advantage of those multiple offer situations. So if we're talking about netting, you might be better off going with us in terms of strategically pricing your home and going off of the market and then taking advantage of those multiple offer situations.
Okay, so you're saying if I use an agent, I'll net more?
Yes.
How?
Well, as going back, we do have access to the MLS. We have access to comparative market analysis, which, I mean, anybody can do, but in terms of understanding what exactly does an extra bedroom mean? What exactly does an extra bathroom mean? What do certain renovations look like on your home? Understanding the complexity of each of those pricing tactics is going to make or break the sale of your home. And that's where we come in and we provide the value, not only us as an agent, but backing us up with hundreds of other agents that have your best interest. And so going with an agent means that you get access to all of those tools, getting access to all those tools, and then netting more is all of our goal.
Okay.
I guess like one thing backing up slightly, just I would say like, how do you plan to market to not just buyers, but to agents?
I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, just because I mean, look, it is awesome to be able to market to your neighbors, right? The best.
Don't agents see it on Zillow?
They do see it on Zillow, but it's a little bit different if like you're just holding open houses on Zillow for the people in your area, things like that. If you want to, market to an agent, you may need access to the MLS or something similar to it.
Okay.
And then with those agents comes a huge network of buyers outside of your local network.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Any thoughts? Yes, Isaiah. Oh, we got lots of thoughts. Good.
Yeah, I know. I like that. For 500, right?
We don't know what net. Okay, so you want to net this amount. If I can show you how you can net this amount with my, would that be worth?
Yep.
Yeah, I would build off that too, like the statistics around selling for sale by owner versus selling with an agent, like 6-7% difference. So like, even if we can net you the same, but I take all the stress off your back and I do all the strategy, all the follow up and everything to get your household, and you end up making the same amount of money.
I would show her probably the data that you showed me yesterday, and saying that 10% of the people that put for sale by owner.
Yeah, that's what Walker was just saying. Yeah, totally.
I think another big thing is it's not just list price and sale price that goes into what an agent can control for your bottom net. Like negotiations, especially if you're a seller,
Right.
We're also going to be negotiating the buyer's agent's commission as well. We're going to be negotiating any kind of inspection, things that pop up during inspection. We also provide just the convenience of the whole process. They say that they're going to use ChatGPT, so you could probe into that a little bit further, their understanding of timelines and deadlines and title companies, settlement, and
Right.
time of possession, and if they really understand what they're getting themselves into, because I do know what you're getting yourself into, and that's my whole point, is to make it easier for you and to also help you net as much as possible.
One thing that I think you guys were continually circling around when we were trying to talk about complexity of the job, the complexity of a real, okay, if we if we are just focused on getting buyers, right? I mean, that's just a tiny part of our job.
Right.
Tiny part of our job, right? And I mean, this person is like, people are walking around in Daybreak, South Jordan, or wherever, all the time. I feel really confident in open houses. You should say, fantastic. That's a piece of the puzzle. That's a piece of the puzzle. Finding the right buyer is not the most important thing, right? It is everything that happens after that. So you guys were stuck in that, right? Stuck right in that, like, oh, we got to find the right buyer, find the right buyer, find the right buyer, find the buyer.
Right.
When it's like, now what?
What's the-
Now,
what's the more
yes.
difficult?
Exactly. Okay, so let me show you what it actually looks like to have an agent. Let me show you what we do as real estate professionals once we find the right buyer, because you're right, that is important for sure, right? But everything after that, the contract management piece of things, is arguably more important.
Right.
We could find, you're right, it takes one buyer, right? But what happens if they lose their job? Right? What happens if they have hiccups with their financing? What happens if we do this? What happens if this? What happens if that? So you show the complexity and get them to say, "Oh my God!" And you say, "Don't worry, don't worry. That's why I'm here." No. Shh.
So like
Everything's
in terms
fine.
of complexity, like talking about understanding deadlines and the consequences of not meeting deadlines, or like what?
Just everything.
Yeah, and you don't
And
have to
simple,
go super
simple,
deep. Just
yeah.
bullet point.
What is
Bullet
your
point.
whole job? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
What
what
are you
Yep.
doing?
like, yeah, so it's like
They're not
you can start with, you know, finding a buyer is just the first part of the puzzle, or you know, the first
Or you
step
could
of the
say something
process.
like, "Are you prepared to handle the contract? Are you prepared to negotiate with other agents? Are you
Okay,
prepared to
gotcha.
like just kind of like hit the-
Inspections,
are you,
negotiations,
are you prepared to handle
vendors.
like all the timeline, inspection, due diligence, stuff?
Just like a buyer, like instead of focusing so much on like them finding a home,
Right.
they could go to open houses all
Totally.
day.
Like you have to
watch
zoom out a little bit.
But like, yeah, zoom out and like that's like step 3 of like little buyer process.
Totally.
Now there's like 10 other steps. That's where I
Yeah.
Okay. And you can lean into like the amount of weeks we get from the middle of like ready hire the department.
Yep.
So it's like your ability to cast that. So like her, like yeah, you're like I can look people can houses of you, but the odds of however you want to frame it, the odds of getting someone that wants to move to houses way less likely than like people coming from out of state but still by coming from across the valley or anything like that. Like the net that you're able to cast is much bigger than trying to like paint that for her as well.
Okay. Totally. Yeah, I love the net cast is such a huge piece, right? Where you say, "Oh, amazing. I agree. Open houses are going to be killer in this neighborhood because yeah, people are walking around like crazy, but we do want to be able to cast a wider net." And I think you were starting to hit on that. We want to cast a wider net. Have you thought about how you're going to do that? And they say, "Well, no, I think that's good." Okay, let me show you what I offer, right? Instead of trying to show me what I don't know, right? Again, it's like you've cast some doubt, or that whole thing that we did at the beginning. You've solidified some doubt here of like, "Oh God, no, I haven't thought about that." Perfect. Switch over here to how you have thought about it. You've provided uncertainty a little bit right here, and now you want to provide certainty over on this side. Oh, amazing. Well, hey, don't worry, that's why I'm here. I have thought about, and my team is excellent at casting the widest net. We are Zillow's #1 partner. We have a database of over 300,000 people. We have social media. Yep, our social media blitzes that we do. We have the combined aspect of our team. We have over 170 agents, all with unique spheres of influences. We have done 1,100 transactions last year, meaning we have been in partnership with over 1,100 agents, right? With their own personal Rolodex of people. That is what I bring to you as a service, as an agent. Does that sound like something that might be, a conversation you're willing to have? Or does that sound interesting to you? Does that solve a little bit of these issues about, oh, we didn't know how to cast a wider net?
Spencer brought up an example that he was dealing with. Granted, this was kind of a luxury list, but he had a friend that was going to be a for sale by owner that approached him, and the way he approached it was asking questions about like, okay, well, what are you offering for buyers, agents, and stuff?
Yeah.
And then he got pictures of the home and marketed it for him for buyers to try to bring him a buyer.
Yep.
And ended up bringing him multiple people to look at this off-market listing. And one of them, they got into some negotiations. It ended up falling apart. But his due diligence of bringing buyers to the table kind of showed the value of who he was. And now it's his listing.
Yeah.
So, and the buyers that he ended up finding for the house, he's working with them as future buyers now too.
So
Love
you're
that.
saying like give a sample. What he did is give a sample of his value and then
Totally.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
A lot of the times, and we can wrap up here, but a lot of the times with, I think Mona said this right at the beginning, sometimes with objection handling, right, your job is not to, they might be right.
Right, totally.
They might be totally right. You know what I mean? And I think if you take that perspective and you say, oh, God, that's really interesting. And you can just say, stay super, super, super curious, you're gonna figure out where the true objection really, really, really is. Or you're gonna also figure out if it actually makes more sense for them to go FSBO. You know what I mean? Like, true, again, in COVID times when market was absolutely bananas, we were saying this all the time. We were like, stick a sign in the yard. Truly. Like, if you have the time and the bandwidth to deal with this, do it. Stick a sign in the yard. I will bring you buyers. You know what I mean? There were absolutely those homes where it was like, you really did not need an agent, for sure. Now it's a little bit different. We have seen multiple offer situations happen at the same time. And this is for everybody as we got into, I think everybody, there was a moment in a lot of these where we were talking about multiple offers. It is not a guarantee. That's the value that you're providing. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get multiple offers every time. It is an option that professional marketing and network and leads and team and professional agency representation offers, right? Let me show you how we can get you into that position, right? That's your value. That's how you spin that into. Cool. Good work, you guys. Woo! All right, we done. Come next week. We're doing the exact same thing.